There we go. The session is being recorded. Good evening, folks. My name's Karel Marais. Welcome to ENTP 7311W, obviously in the distance mode. So this is Entrepreneurship 3A. And this is going to be a bit of an introductory session, and then have a quick look at the an overview of the course, and then have a look at some of the content. On the screen, you can see my email address. It's kamarais@varsity-college.co.za. Please feel free to email me at any point in time. I've switched on my camera. I'm not going to leave it on for long. I won't bore you with my face, and also because of the bandwidth issue, but hopefully you can see my face, and at least you've got a sense of the voice or the person behind the voice that you'll hear across the semester. So yes, this is we're getting towards the end of your degree. This is your second last entrepreneurship module. Let's have a look at what happens in this module. So firstly, there's the pre-Skype textbook, Neck and Murray, called Entrepreneurship, the Practice and the Mindset. We use the second edition. It is one of the Sage books. It is a rather nice book. It also includes what is called the pitch deck, which basically tells you how to go about pitching an idea to somebody, and you will be using that extensively during the semester. Something I didn't mention, please, if you have a question, stop me, interrupt me. You can put your hand up, or you can just switch your mic on and say, excuse me, Karel, listen, what's this about? Do I really have to buy the textbook? Yes, I would advise that you buy the textbook. It's a rather nice textbook, but also because it's used across both semesters, it's worth your while. It is unfortunately an American textbook. Oh, sorry, British. It's published in Britain by Sage, but it is American. So it is a bit pricey. There are also 4 academic articles for the last learning unit for the semester. This is already loaded up onto VC Learn for you under more resources. So you can just go on there and download them when the time comes, or if you want to do it earlier, please feel free to do so. I've already downloaded the articles, found the articles, downloaded them and uploaded them for you. So they're available for you. What is the actual module about? Well, there's your module purpose. This comes out of the module guide. Module guide is also under more resources. So this module gives you the sense behind how do I take a idea and take this idea and develop it into a properly sustainable and competitive entrepreneurial venture. Remember, when we talk about sustainability in entrepreneurship, we talk about the planet, people, profit, planet, but we also talk about, is this a business that's viable, that will run over the long term? So this semester is about giving you toys, giving you tools, giving you things to use to be able to do this. And I'll start introducing this. There's a couple of different approaches that we'll use that differ from what you have been taught up to this point. So it turns the ideas that you've been taught slightly on top of its head, and it brings you more into not so much what we say theoretically, but what actually happens in entrepreneurial ventures. The assessments, and normally when we get to this point, students say, okay, happy days, open book assessments, I'm running away, I'm not listening any further, and then they struggle to pass the module. So there's 3 parts, part 1, part 2, and a POE, very originally named. So the 3 parts, and then of course there's the ICE tasks. I have not as of yet uploaded the ICE tasks. Let's get that out of the way. I will in the next week or 2 upload ICE tasks. Typically, I use the exercises on VC Learn as ICE tasks. I find they are fit for purpose. I will list some of those for you to do, and typically I'll probably list about 6 of them, maybe more. You need to do 4 of them. I will probably list them with dates that they need to be completed on. And the reason why I'll add dates to them is because that correlates with the work you should have been able to do. You are aware that you'll be able to do it at the end of the semester. I think you're doing yourself in if you only do it then. I want to stand still a bit more with the actual 3 parts of the POE that you have to do. The first part is a video presentation and report. So you're actually going to have to record a video. You can put your face on it with a camera, etc. You could use a PowerPoint. I will have a complete session specifically on that. But there's a video presentation and then a report that you submit. The second part, there's activities that you've got to do in LinkedIn. Where you create a LinkedIn profile, you need to go follow some people. You don't have to use your own LinkedIn profile. I've got a way that I'll explain to you how to do that, and you write a report. And then the last one is a live Shark Tank presentation on the idea. The whole idea is you're going to develop a business idea, and you'll do a live Shark Tank type presentation. We'll see how it goes. It might just be me, but I might invite 1 or 2 other people to sit in on the presentation, and you write a report. Especially the initial assignment, part 1, is a longer than normal assignment. You need to start earlier. We don't have PAS dates yet. We didn't have PAS dates. I think I checked at about 11 this morning, and I couldn't find any PAS dates for this yet. From early next week, I'll start pushing for a PAS date so that we know when the assessments are due, and I will schedule online sessions where I will explain to you what to do, how to do it, and how to approach it. I don't. I tend to give quite good instructions to students. You follow my instructions, you will be fine. But please be aware that these assignments will take it slightly longer. It takes a while to get a video presentation because you've got to get the idea, figure out what you're going to do before you can even think about the video presentation. Then you've got to build the slides. To support your talk, you're probably going to have a couple of practice runs. You're going to do your first recording. You're not going to be happy. You're going to do a second recording. Plus, then there's a report to be written. So be aware that you're going to have to spend a bit more time on this. It's not something that can just be quickly done one afternoon. It takes a bit of time. Is it difficult? No, it's not that difficult. Can you do well? Yes, you can do really well. But you're going to have to spend a bit of time on that. Again, how do we work, what happens, and so on is on the next slide. Okay, so on VC Learn, if you go look under more resources, I've uploaded a ton of stuff there already. So firstly, there's a pacer. The pacer is not complete because the pacer still doesn't include the assessment briefs, which I still have to do, and I can only do that once we have the timelines. Typically on a Friday, I will post a weekly announcement. Those announcements won't result in an email. The way they're set up, they will not result in an email. So every Friday, you just need to go have a look at the announcements on the subject to see what is expected of you for the next week. I do it on a Friday because I know most of you, or many of the students, have full-time occupations and so on, and they do their work over the weekend. So if I do it on a Friday, it allows you to do some work over that weekend. If you are a online student, but you're a full-time student, go look on a Monday morning, and that's the week's worth of work that you need to do. But I will post those on a Friday. As I say, you will not get an email. You have to go look at it on that Friday or the Monday, whatever suits you, Saturday morning, whatever, but it'll be posted early Friday mornings. And then I'll do other things during the week, post something, or if I see a nice article or something I think you need to take notice of, or some specific guidance I want to give you that for this week's work, I'll post other announcements. Those I will trigger with an email. So you'll receive an email. I can spend a couple of minutes telling you who I am. I've rather created a little document, Who is Gardel? That's also under more resources. Read it, don't read it, whatever. It's just some students have a desire to have a bit more of a background of who this guy is and why is he sitting here telling me about entrepreneurship, what's his background, where does he work, etc. So I've put that up for you. I've uploaded the module outline. You are familiar with the module outline. Follow the module outline, follow the outcomes, and you can't fail. There's a permanent link for collab sessions. So the link that you got into now, the link that was emailed to you earlier today, this will always be the same link. So you'll always be able to get into this room. Please also remember, if you and one of the other students want to do a collab, you want to discuss something with one of those students, this room is always open. You can come here at any stage. It is open. You can talk to your fellow students and use this as a meeting venue. It is available to you. I've spoken about the Learning Unit 7 prescribed articles. I have uploaded those as well, so long for you. The ice tasks are there. It's empty. I've spoken to that. And then there will be recording links. This is the first one, so there aren't any recording links yet. I will provide a document that will link you directly to each recording. I don't provide a YouTube channel. You can go scratch around. It is in a YouTube channel. You can go scratch around and look at the other stuff that's there. You'll also find old recordings from other years and other iterations of this course there. If you want to see what I said then and what I'm saying now, there might be different stuff that I dealt with. You're welcome to do it. But I will provide recording links directly to these classes specifically on my YouTube channel. So you can listen to the recordings later on. Classes are always at 6 o'clock on a Tuesday, every second Tuesday. And I know, and I do understand that not everybody can make it to those classes. So your recordings are available. And even if you make it, you might want to listen to it later. I find especially the recordings regarding the assessments to be very popular for people to listen to 2 or 3 times. And I would encourage you to do that. Okay, I've spoken enough. My cup of tea is getting cold. So please tell me, are there any questions? I need to take a sip or 2 of tea, and then we can carry on. Thanks, Tristan. So no questions, everybody comfortable, everybody happy, everybody understand where we're at. Cool. Okay, so that is in terms of the introduction to, I want to say the administration part of the course. What I want to do is I want to do a brief, my sessions are never long. I try to keep them to within a half an hour, especially where I am talking. We're having a debate and so on. I love it, and we sometimes go much longer. But I want to give you a brief introduction to some parts of the first learning unit. Please understand something. These sessions would never be exhaustive. You would always have to go back and look at it for yourself. Go look at the outcomes. So if you look at learning unit 1, there are 5 learning outcomes. You must make sure that you can explain all of these. And the reason why you need to do that, and I know the thoughts that go through students' heads. This is not my first rodeo. I've been teaching probably now 13 years, and I've taught online. I taught the first iteration in online, then stayed away from online for a while, and I've been back to online for about 4 semesters now. So I understand that when you think, this is open book POEs, I don't have to really work through the work. I'll just do the stuff that's required from you for the POE. You're making a grave mistake if you do that, because you will need this information to do the POE, but you'll also need it for next semester. So you need to be able to answer the learning outcomes. And there's specific terminology that's used as such as the entrepreneurship method. It's a specific thing. And if you just write something and you call it the entrepreneurship method, you won't do very well. Okay, so let's have a look at quickly where we at. So entrepreneurship's got many methods. There's many things that make up entrepreneurship, and I see my slide has slightly moved there. But in general, we can say entrepreneurship is about thinking about what we are going to do, It is about acting, doing things, in other words, taking an action. It's about identifying new opportunities, both initially and throughout operations, and looking at how do we approach problems, and what is it that we do to solve the problems that we run into. And all of this we call entrepreneurship, but it's a vehicle for developing a set of skills. So it's important to understand that entrepreneurship as such is actually a skill. There's a whole section that I'm going to look at, and I might as well move on to it, because even at this late stage of the course, you may have a misconception of what exactly entrepreneurship is, and this is a misconception that is quite common. And when you speak to people, friends, family, and so on, and you say, I'm doing a course in entrepreneurship, they say, but why? You're either an entrepreneur or you're not. You either a gambler or you're not. And people say these things and think these things about entrepreneurs, and it's simply not true. So the first myth, first truth, entrepreneurship is not reserved for startups. So to think that entrepreneurship is something that takes place when I'm sitting at home and suddenly, ping, this light bulb goes up above my head, and I think, oh, wow, what a great idea. I'm going to start a business in which we're going to deliver cooked eggs to households because they don't have time to cook eggs in the mornings, and we'll deliver it to the households already cooked. That is entrepreneurship, but that's not what entrepreneurship is. Entrepreneurship is something that's continuously taking place. Whether it is the smallest of firms or the largest of firms, entrepreneurship is something that continues to happen, and something that even large organizations need to be entrepreneurial. They need to act on new ideas. They need to find new ideas of doing things. They have to say, here's an opportunity. Let me evaluate this opportunity. Is this something we can invest in? And is this something that we can, over the long term, build into a sustainable business where we can make some money out of it and possibly help our communities? Because there's different types of entrepreneurship. So if you can remember some of the leadership work that you've done previously, we talk about the trait theory and how certain things are inborn in people and other things are not. Now, originally when entrepreneurship was first studied, there was a sense that, and I think there were 4 things that they said entrepreneurs do. Things like they have a need for achievement, and we would have taught you some of this stuff in first and second year. So 4 main traits are that entrepreneurs have a need for achievement, an innate sense of having the ability to influence events, and a tendency to take risks, as well as a tolerance for ambiguity. Tolerance for ambiguity simply means for a tolerance for things that we don't know. And those set, if you've got those traits, if we do a personality test, you've got those traits, you'll be a great entrepreneur. Enter a person, and she is in your textbook. The lady is Saravasti, is her surname. Sarah Saravasti came up with an idea called the effectuation theory. And she basically said that entrepreneurs don't need any skills. It's what they do. In other words, as long as you take actions, you can be entrepreneurial. So and if you go look at Saravasti's work, there's articles about it. There's a great YouTube video. Maybe I'll go look for it and drop you a message, do an announcement with that video link in there. And if you go listen to what she says, she basically says all an entrepreneur needs to Nike it. Just do it. Don't sit back and think about things. Just do it. And this is one of the big differences that this course now starts to say that your other courses didn't do. And this is this idea about entrepreneurs just do things. In other words, if we move on to truth number 3, entrepreneurship can be taught, because we can teach you the set of skills, because it's a method, it requires practice, And if you know how to practice this and you know how to do these things, you just need to Nike it. You just need to do it. Truth number 4, entrepreneurs are not extreme risk takers. As a matter of fact, this idea that entrepreneurs take these massive risks is totally wrong. They take well-educated, well-judged risks. And risks are never, entrepreneurship is never a zero-sum game. In other words, meaning you're never going to put everything at risk. And this is a make or break situation. Yes, there are entrepreneurs that have done this. There are big entrepreneurs that have done this. If you look at Sir Richard Branson, one of the greatest entrepreneurs the world's seen for a very long time, he's done that. So he's on occasion risked a hell of a lot and lost a hell of a lot. If you want to see one of his disasters, go look at the Virgin Cola story. Total disaster. But he lost what he put into Virgin Cola. He didn't lose the Virgin Airlines, or at that stage the Virgin record label, or any of the other Virgin brands that he had. He lost what went into Virgin Cola. That was a total loss. But it wasn't a total loss for the company. The other brands stood strong because he had separated and said, I am prepared to risk this. I'm going to take, and this is exactly what he did, I'm going to take Coca-Cola and Pepsi head on. But I'll prepare to lose this much money. And he put that money on the table and he lost it. But it wasn't the whole hog. So be careful on thinking entrepreneurs take these extreme risks. Then entrepreneurship collaborate more than they compete. Entrepreneurs collaborate with each other. I've got a painting business. You've got a building business. Let's collaborate. You build the buildings. I paint the buildings. Right? You've got a renovation to do. I'll come in and I'll paint the renovation. A client approaches me and said, look, listen, now you do painting. I'm going to do some work on my house, and I'm going to need somebody to paint it. And I'll say to them, okay, that's fine. But listen, I've got a guy that can really do a good job on this work. Can I contact them to come out and give you a quote? So we collaborate, we help each other. And this happens on a very high level. The textbook has a beautiful photo of Steve Jobs and Bill Gates in the very early days sitting together where they were collaborating on the Apple Mac. And although they were strong competitors, they collaborated on the Mac. So it's not something that we're just saying, oh, this is what entrepreneurs do. This is genuine what happens in the real world. Then entrepreneurs act more than they plan. And this is a key part. I'm going to take you to a slide just now that'll show you the entrepreneurial plan that we used to teach, that we still teach on lower levels because it's almost like Maslow's hierarchy. You need to understand that before you can understand the higher stuff. But entrepreneurs don't sit. You need a business plan. That's true. But entrepreneurs don't sit for months and months and months developing business plans. They get a plan, they figure out what they're going to do, and then they do it. So they're acting more than they're planning. And entrepreneurship is a life skill. In other words, it's a skill that you can learn, and it's a skill that you can use from day to day in more than just entrepreneurship, because it's a skill that teaches you how to do things. Now, I'm going to jump straight ahead. So there's different types of entrepreneurship, and I'm not going to go through all of them. They're in the textbook. You should go through them. Specifically, I want you to look at social entrepreneurship, because social entrepreneurship is important. You can ignore the B Corp, the so-called B Corp, which is an American benefit corporation, an American concept. But social entrepreneurship is where an entrepreneur would go and do things where they're going to make some money out of this, but they're also going to help some social cause. They're going to relieve poverty. They're going to relieve hunger. They're going to help education. There's something in there that is going to help uplift the world, rather than just being a person that is chasing money. So be aware of social entrepreneurship. It becomes important when we start working on the assignment, but understand, for example, the difference between corporate entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship inside, because they're very similar, but they're different. What I want to get to is this slide, which is taken from the textbook, it's table 3.1. And this is the process that you would have been taught. So firstly, you have an idea. We call it ideation. You think of the product that you want to serve. Then you go do your market research. Say, okay, so if the market research tells me this, can I make money? Do financial projections. Find a partner or build a team. And then we sit down, then we write this business plan, this great big business plan. Once we've done this, all of this planning, we go to the financial institutions. We say, look, guys, we've got this plan. Give us some money. They read through your plan. You play a bit of ping pong and talk about the plan, and it goes up and down, up and down. Time passes. You get some financing. That then allows you to get a factory or a space to work from. If it's a product, you build a prototype. You hire more people in. You test the product, you go to small groups of test markets, say, yes, guys, what do you think of this product? Rebuild the prototype. Eventually, you bring your product or service to the market, and now the business is running. Then you manage the business, and eventually you plan an exit. And this is a step-by-step, almost rhythmic way that entrepreneurship has been looked at. And these 10 steps sound amazing, but to be able to actually do that, it's time consuming. You're draining your resources, and you might not always get to the point that you want to get to. So rather than that, we talk about the entrepreneurship method. Now, the entrepreneurship method has 8 components. Please don't see this in your mind as a step-by-step. Don't see this as a circle. See this as 8 things that need to happen. And they can happen sometimes in order, sometimes in isolation, but what it requires is a deliberate action from your side. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to say, what is the impact I want to have on the world? Why do I want to do this? Why this idea that I have? Because typically you'll have an idea. What do I see? How do I see this changing my world and changing the world around me? What's going to happen if I do that? The next thing, well, not the next thing, something else that you need to look at is, what do I have? You may have money, but you may know people. You might know friends. You might have a circle of influence. So use that and start with what you have. Once again, I come back to Savasti's idea of just do it. With whatever you have, start small if you have to. Start big if you can, but just do something. Describe your idea today. What is it that you can do now to develop this idea with what you have? Right? So even if it's small, even if it is standing at a market on a Saturday and selling a product there, it might be that you know somebody in a big corporate, and it's something that the big corporates can use. Go to the big corporate, pitch the idea. But what is the idea today, and what can you do about it? Calculate your affordable loss. So for Branson, he could start a cola company, and he could take on Pepsi and Coke and lose that and still be fine on the other side. Typically, the rest of our situations are different. What is it that you can, how much are you prepared to risk? And that's what you need to take. And your risk might be small, or it might be rather large, but it's a calculated risk, and you must understand the risk that you're taking. You must understand what the reward would be, and you must determine, is that something that you're prepared to do? And if it's not something prepared to do, what are you prepared to do? And take that amount of risk. Something to consider further is to take small actions. Once again, it comes back to that idea, just do something. You can go drastic. If you're comfortable with doing something really drastic, go for it. But it's not a requirement of entrepreneurship to take drastic actions. The requirement for entrepreneurship is simply to take an action, irrespective of how big or small. You simply need to take action. You need to do something. You need to do it as soon. Instead of spending these months and months and months on planning out ideas and saying, how can we do this? How will we approach this? What if this happens? How do we handle the scenario? Rather, let's just do something. Then use a network. Those people that you know, enroll them in your idea. Get those collaboration going. Get those people that say, you know what? I like your idea. I would like to be associated with you. I would like to help you an idea. I can do X, Y, and Z for you. And if those people don't step out of the woodwork, go pull them out of the woodwork. And say to them, you know what? I know you've got this skill. I know you have built a website before. I need a website. I don't know how to do this. Teach me how to build a website. Help me to build a website so that I can learn. And then when you learn stuff, build on that. Keep expanding your idea. Keep saying, okay, so I know I've got, because you'll always have this vision in the back of your mind. And as soon as you've crossed one hurdle, think about the next hurdle and apply these 8 components of the entrepreneurship method to this idea and say, so what's the next thing I need to learn? So I've built a website. Maybe I should build an app, right? And maybe I should then say, how can I work this app? What can I do to be able to take my idea to the next level? And then lastly, and once again I say lastly, this is the last component, but this is something that you're going to do all the time, is reflect and be honest with yourself. Say to yourself, where am I? How are things going? Am I pushing hard enough? Am I pushing too hard? Should I maybe just take a step back? Or am I at a point where I'm at a fork in the road? Should I take this idea this way or should I go that way? But be honest. And then once again, in terms of what you're prepared to lose, if the stakes are getting too high, quit. It's fine to be a quitter because you will survive to fight another day. You will have some resources to be able to start again. And it comes back to that. What's your risk? How high is your risk? And at which stage do you say, I've taken enough risk, I'm out of here? Folks, it's a lot of things to take in, and I think the guys in the room tonight might want to re-listen to this because it's a flood of information. But ask me your questions. Are there any questions, anything you want me to elaborate on, anything more you want to chat about? Before I say thank you, and then I'll give you some, what do you need to do now for the next week or two before we chat again. So any questions? Clearly, I've spoken you guys completely to sleep and nobody's around to ask me any questions. Guys, what you need to do going forward now is get onto VC, look at all the stuff. Thanks, Tristan. Go look at all the stuff that I've uploaded there. Get yourself sorted out and start looking at the pacer. The pacer gives you week by week what you need to do. Make sure you stick with the pacer. Try to stick and try to do the work that's in the pacer, and then you'll be fine. Then you're covering the work that you need to do. As I said, this module is okay. It's not too difficult, but you've got to get your head around these concepts because a number of these concepts are new concepts. For example, you need to understand what the entrepreneurship method is. I've given you a quick 10 minutes overview of that. It's a large chunk of the first chapter. There's other stuff that build up to it, like the type of entrepreneurships and so on. So you need to go look at that stuff, please. Work through that stuff. As always, there's my email address. I want to say one last thing about my email address. And that is the following. Please feel free to send me an email. It's easier to get hold of me on an email than through VC Learn. Drop me an email. I do get a lot of emails, but typically I answer my emails within 24 hours. Unless it's a weekend, sometimes take a bit longer, but I'm naughty. I do look at my emails over weekends. If I haven't answered you between 24 and 36 hours, drop me a second email. I might have missed it and say, Carl, I've dropped you an email. Why aren't you answering me? And that's you're entitled to do that. So please don't feel, ooh, I can't push him. If you want to know something, you want to know something. So drop me a second email, say, hey, I've emailed you. I need to find out this stuff. You're not answering. What's going on? But please also in your title of your email, put the course code, what's it, ENTP 7311, if I remember correctly, ENTP 7311W. Put that in the title of your email, so I can see, because when I see that, I know, ooh, this is a student from this course, and they need to know something, and I need to respond to them as soon as possible. And I'm happy for you to send me a follow-up if I don't respond. Guys, anything else before we say good evening, good night, and thank you very much? Okay, cool. Thanks for attending. Enjoy the rest of your week and have a look at the work and the stuff on VC Learn, and we'll chat in the next in 2 weeks from now again. All the best. Cheers.